the cloud. Good evening. It's March 24th. Spring's here, huh? 2026. I'm Glenda Carlin. Welcome to our weekly A Course in Miracles and Tibetan Buddhist Zoom meeting. Welcome, God Lynn. Welcome, God Angela. Welcome, God Leon. Welcome, God Dee. Welcome, God Glenda. And those that look at this later on YouTube, and those that are going to, oh, here comes Debbie. Here comes Debbie. We will get her checked in here. There's Debbie. There's God Debbie. Okay, first thing, let's just kind of lean back. That's one thing I'm finding really helps in the relaxation, the being with God's presence, is to actually in your mind lean back, but you just kind of lean your body back. And what that does is, excuse me, is it takes the focus off of being your attention going directly out in front on objects, and you lean back inwardly to this presence, God presence. But anyway, let's just lean back with our awareness, send it out to our whole group, because there's various individuals in our group. They've got family members or themselves that are having procedures done, medical procedures, or their families having medical procedures, and or there's climate issues like Hawaii. Chaz Steffens, who's one of our members that's in Hawaii, I forget how many days, it wasn't many, but they got a whole year's worth of rain or something. I mean, like 30, 50 inches of rain. And hopefully a dam held, but on 4 of the 5 islands, it's like flooding. And Chaz texted our group that there's a volcano going on, erupting, but she's okay. So there's Hawaii. Then in Europe, we got the war that shouldn't have happened with Iran. People with not enough money to buy gasoline or groceries. Ukraine and Russia. There's just these pockets of war. And within our own country, the divisiveness of enforcement of, or not the enforcement of our Constitution, where people have called I guess the word due cause, or you got to present them a piece of paper with, like, I got a warrant, I can come in your house. You just don't go break down the house door. That's unconstitutional. But whatever, we're just going to send our awareness and our loving hearts out to all these places and to ourselves. Thank you. And then, of course, we invite in Jesus, Buddha, the enlightened beings, Holy Spirit, be here with us, guide us help us with our insights, guide me what to do or say. Help all beings turn within and come to rest within God's presence. It's here right now. There's just temporary obscurations, temporary thoughts, feelings, defilements that are obscuring. They're like clouds that obscure the sunlight that's right here, right now. Thank you for all of you for coming out. I much appreciate it. And look, there's Chaz. Miss Chaz, we were praying for Hawaii and for you. Oh man. Um, um, as I was reviewing my email that I sent out and reviewing my notes, it was like Oh, and reviewing my notes in order to write the email that I sent out last night for tonight's teaching, I went, gee whiz. No wonder I've needed to sit in my chair and kind of lean back and just assimilate, just rest, just be, letting these changes be absorbed within my cells and bones, within the mind. So I went through the list and I made a list and sent to you of items that I've experienced this last week. And and it hadn't really come together until I saw a Facebook post quoting this enlightened being, no show Kimpo. Now I'm going to show you a black and white picture. But why I'm going to show you this picture is just it I got kind of a perspective. I mean, how many times in our lifetimes have we actually met an enlightened being? Now just stop and think about that. Y'all have met some gurus. I've met that Lama Surya Das via Zoom, never met him in person, but just to be in a Zoom meeting with somebody that's enlightened or people that are awakening, think about it, there's over 8 billion people. And so, what's great about Tibetan Buddhist teachings, they got enlightened beings by the galore. Now, we'll try to hold this where there's not a glare, but I don't know the name this person. He's got a white beard, but this dude is Diljo Khyentse Rinpoche. He's the one that had 60,000 people come to his cremation, his funeral. And that man right there is No Show Kimpo. He's an enlightened being, and I'm not sure who that is. But here in one row are four enlightened beings. I mean, and even though they passed, three have passed, I'm not sure about this last person, they still emit this light because this light's not going anywhere. It's awakened. They're a light being, they're a light bearer. And that light's coming through because we're talking about them. That even brings them closer to you. That's why just sitting and thinking about Jesus or Buddha or any of this list, sometimes I'll just sit in my chair and think, name off some different enlightened beings in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition and just relax because their light and love is there with you. Jesus, Buddha, it's here now. Just relax, let them help us. They're here. Well, anyway, Nelsho Kempo, there was a post that quoted him, and I got to find my page here. It's describing why I could write about these 8 things that I put in my email of feeling like I'm resting and living within this groundless ground, it's called. That means the origin of all things. That's God's presence. That I feel I'm resting there, being there, but more than that, this light that we are, once these obscurations are removed or let go of, that are in the mind and the body, the heart, all the chakras, picture those thoughts of separation, their clogs, their baggage that's clogged up the mind body continuum, it's called. Well, it clogs the chakras, it's clogged the great rays not coming in, etc. But we still get enough great ray light and yin and yang force to keep the body animated and going. But as these obscurations are removed, you get lighter. It's like you know how you go out like Lynn goes to these clear water springs and you lay on your back and you float in that clear water. Well, our home is this clear light. You float in it. This form, once all these obscurations they're just let go of, And these obscurations are the sense that we're a self. That's the first huge obscuration. We believe we're a separate self. And from that belief comes there's separate others out here, a separate universe of form, and God separate from us. So what's happened, this root, the root that causes the suffering for me is this sense of self has been cut. It's no longer there. And am able, and I've been just talking with y'all in the last 2 or 3 weeks, how that separate self, that picture of that Padmasambhava where the rocket ship is out here by the head, the separate self gets jettisoned, released back up that great ray, back to disappear in that groundless ground, dissolve. Then the thought of separate objects gets jettisoned up. And all this frees up the form. You feel lighter. You're floating in air. You're floating in air. And I forget the date that was here was when I went for it, practicing I always been spelling this for BOGDEN. Now, why I give you different new words, maybe that you're not aware of, is some of them are new to me that I'm getting used to. BOGDEN is that describes a very, I don't know if it's secret, but it's a very advanced practice in Dzogchen, DZOGCHEN, which is like Jesus's teaching, where you just let go everything. Just let go everything. All your beliefs of yourself, the universe, just let it go. Well, then this Bogdan that Lama Surya Das was doing a teaching on, it was EP 87 in the Be Here Now network. It's said to step out, step up, and just go for it. That was the phrase, just go for it. And so, due to wearing this mask, this mask has just been miraculous for me. This is one a mask, the Halos, HALOS mask is a black mask. It's only $10. Wearing this mask and practicing another word that I've introduced to you, TONGLEN, Tonglen. That was last week where I explained about you inhale the smog or the thoughts of separation of like your family or my condo association or the whole world, and you hold it for just a second, and on the exhale, and when you hold it for that second, that awareness dissolves it, and you exhale sunlight. So you're riding your breath. The in breath, you hold for a moment, and it dissolves. The smog of separation dissolves, and you exhale sunlight. When I've been doing that practice the last 2 or 3 weeks, so between the mask and Tonglen and the regular Treched or Jesus's advanced forgiveness of seeing through, being through these images to see their clear light, what's happened is the root has been totally cut from this belief of a separate self, that I'm a separate self. And I would not have ever anticipated it was going to result in any kind of manifestation that would be different from my regular body. But it is. My body's lighter. I can just turn within to meditate, and I get light. I get light, and I see that groundless ground of God's presence. And this image of me is like kind of just an outline, because the inside's all empty now, empty of all those obscurations. It's full of purity, the clear light. So it floats, but I'm not just floating there on the groundless ground. All of you are. And even all the inanimate things are floating there, because all things, animate or inanimate, their essence is this clear light of God's presence. Oh, so I want to go back to Bogdan, Bogden, where you go for it, just go for it. Well, what that meant to me is with that mask on, I just lean back into the presence. I know God's presence right here. I have felt it. You all feel it once in a while, but you just lean back, let it breathe or smile and relax, and the edges of your form will dissolve, and you're in harmonious oneness with God's presence. Just lean back and just be there, just rest within God's presence. And the more often you do that, then you're getting acclimated to that's your home. That's your real home. This physical world's not your home. This is just a magic show, a playground. But anyway, you're floating there. But more than that, your breath will get thinner. My breath is thin. It's like I'm breathing from a thin atmosphere. It's thinner because in awakening, we ascend, we meaning our thought that we're a separate self, separate objects, God separate from us, separate universe, all ascend up this great ray. There's an ascension back to this groundless ground. That's the God eyeball, the God viewpoint. That's above the battleground, Jesus calls it. You just take your awareness above your head, and there is a clear light kingdom of heaven that the great ray comes off of. And you just ascend back up that great ray tube and be with God's presence. And that presence, though, once you be and rest there, it's everywhere. It's you bring it back with you when you come back. It's to this physical realm. I mean, it's always here, but we're just not aware of it. But anyway, the air is thinner. It's like rarefied. My body's lighter. Things look different. I feel different. And I'm much more aware of how my body feels and what thoughts, feelings, and all these sensations are coming and going. That's what awakening means, is we're aware of God's presence. We're aware that that clear light essence of him fills our body, and we're one with not just God, but with everything. And but it doesn't mean when you give up objects, the thought of separate objects, you're not giving up your family members, and you're not giving up your residence and all these objects that are here with you in this physical realm. You're just giving up your belief that they exist, because they don't exist. They're really vibrating light particles that just come and go. They don't exist as a rigid form. That's what Jesus teaches in A Course in Miracles. But also Buddha, these phenomena and lumina don't exist. That's why if they existed, they would not leave. They would stay permanently, and they wouldn't change. These forms wouldn't change, and they wouldn't age, and they wouldn't die. It would all be the same, because that's how what God essence is. But anyway, what I want to get back to is, just because you become awakened doesn't mean conflict won't occur. And in this email, I'm kind of out of sequence, but I'm going with the flow. In my email, I wrote about a conflict that occurred with me and an individual here in my condo association. I've been involved. I'm on the board, and this person's on the board, and I I joined in with him and another man, and we coordinated this repaving, resurfacing of all our driveways and our parking lots. And in that repaving and resurfacing, we couldn't have these huge trash garbage trucks coming on the property to pick up our dumpsters, to empty our dumpsters. So I worked with this board president, wrote up a notice that went on the bulletin boards alerting everybody that no trash garbage pickup for the week. Make sure they tie their garbage up tightly, because when it comes down the chute, we didn't want the garbage just to blow everywhere. And because this was not, dumpsters weren't going to be picked up for at that time, it would make it about 9 days. They would overflow, the bags would overflow. So I took the bags out and put them on the concrete floor and sprayed in ant spray around them until the night before then the dumpster was going to be picked up. I was going to put them back. Well, this board president agreed with all this, but he got so busy. There were other projects, 60 dryer ducts to get cleaned. I forget, so pest spraying went on in the units. He forgot about this. And um, he got involved in putting these garbage bags back up in this dumpster before I was going to do it. I didn't know what he was doing. I just thought a whole bunch of garbage had come down the chute. And so I went and take some of the garbage bags out, put them on the floor. He came in and saw that and lit into a tizzy. In my whole life, I've never had anybody, I'm not kidding you, I thought back on this, scream at me. My mother never screamed. My dad didn't. My late husband didn't. No matter how mad he got, he did not scream. Now, I think I've raised my voice, but I don't know if I've ever screamed other than when somebody's in danger and then you're really on it, right? But the thing was, he stood there and he was screaming at me. And I real quick said, hold it. You agreed to all this. I'm not doing anything you didn't agree to. And he was screaming some more about, well, you be the leader. Now, see what, and I went, hold it. This is a team effort. And he's screaming some more. And then he walks away. And I say to him, can't we just talk? Can't we just talk? And he walks away. I kind of follow him and he's going away. And I go, can you just stop and us talk? And he says, no, or something. I'm not stopping. You can't tell me to stop or what? People in rage. He was in a rage. Ego was just, I went, bless your heart. And I walked away. I went back in the room, right? And sure, I knew immediately he was just overstressed and was just reacting. And see, that's the whole purpose of why we practice A Course in Miracles. One of them is to be mindful of how we feel so that we've generated where there's a pause. We're no longer in that huge reaction mode that we used to be years ago. There's a pause where we can have a chance to consider maybe what we're going to say or not say, or we're not reacting, right? That's one. And from this comes peace because we're not blowing a fuse, right? And then that affects the whole way the body feels. It can cause ill health. This rage and anger. And so I just went back in the dumpster room, taking these bags out because I don't want to pick up garbage off this floor when other bags come down the chute and ricochet off these bags, right? There's 30 units in this building. But anyway, he came back into the room very calm and said something like, the dumpsters picked up Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I said, well, I thought it was Friday. So are you saying this dumpster's picked up Monday? And see, this was Friday. And he goes, yep, Monday. I said, well, I'll come down here Sunday night, put all these bags back in the dumpster, just like I said I would. And then the dumpster will be ready for them to pick up. And then he leaves. Later, he texts an apology to me. But why I'm taking time to explain this is in my email, I wrote things I needed to do to remove these emotions and thoughts that were permeating me based on that interaction that I had with him. Now, what I've learned from it is, which I never really thought about before, is his reactions, that's his deal. Now, years ago, I would have blamed myself. I would have thought, well, maybe I could have done better on the bulletin or reminded him about this stuff or you start what ifs and I could have done different. No, 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 no. His reactions were his. Because that's part of awakening, you're awake, alert, and lucid to how you feel and where you're feeling clogged up. And I immediately came back to my condo, sat in my chair, and I wrote you in the email. I think I took 3 deep breaths, all in a deep breath in, and on the exhale saying ah 3 times in a row. Then I tilted my eyes up behind my closed eyelids. See what this does? This breaks up thoughts, feelings, and emotions that are hanging around. This breaks them and allows them to liberate. And then I flick my eyes back and forth, back and forth. And I did a third thing. I did Tonglen. I did the breath. I breathed in his smog and my smog, held it, and then exhaled sunlight. That riding the in breath and riding the out breath, I am telling you, it is miraculous. What it's doing, it's dislodging any before these thoughts and feelings can get all clogged up and permanent within the form. It's causing a wind to bring them. Wind brings them in into the smog, and then I hold it to see that it's dissolved, and exhale, it releases them. It, I didn't know to do that. Who's taught this as a child in college or high school or in a young adult life, or when you go to the psychiatrist, which I've been years ago? They don't teach you about breathing, and you can release these thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And remember, if you ruminate about this, you're just going to clog yourself back up, they could tell you, but they don't know this. Now, I'll take time to explain this because what we're doing, we're living our life awake and alert. And if I don't attach to something, that thought, feeling, and sensation will automatically liberate. But I couldn't help but attach to and have some thoughts and feelings about what the heck. And so this is a way to keep the form clean immediately, as soon as you can. And then when you sense, oh, I didn't quite let it all go, I sensed I hadn't quite let it all go. It came to me to go talk to my sister and brother in law. Now, what's different about how I talked with them is I knew I was going there to release more of this conversation that that gentleman and I had, which is entirely different than how I used to go to family or friends and ruminate about something. Now, picture what I'm talking about. You all know what I'm talking about. Is you go to the family and friends and you won't believe what this person did. And then before you know it, you're ruminating, all digging a deeper rut where you're really digging and implanting karmic seeds within your brain and body of this discourse, not letting it go. But we, like I said, we weren't taught to do that. But anyway, that did it. Then I felt free. Then I felt uncluttered. And then this frame, this outline is all uncluttered again, and it's empty. It's pure, clear light within it. Just being with God's presence, right? uh, Well, but I want to go back to this no-show Kempo because the root of, to me, of all suffering is this false sense of a self, a separate body. Here's his exact quote: to end suffering, not only by relieving its symptoms, but by eradicating its root cause, is precisely the aim of the Buddha's teaching. And see, that's the aim of Jesus too in the Course. We must first realize that the true cause of suffering is not outside. See, it wasn't that other person. My feelings were my feelings. His reactions and his stuff is his. That's his karma. How my karma, I would be accumulating karma if I started ruminating, calling him evil, horrible, all those labels we used to label stuff when we had a problem. But no, see through, he's formed of the clear light of spirit that he is, which that's turning within. the problem's not out there, but it's inside. That is why true spiritual practice consists of working on one's own mind. The mind is very powerful. It can create happiness or suffering, heaven or hell. If, with the help of the Dharma, that means the practicing of these spiritual truths, you manage to eliminate your inner poisons, nothing from outside will ever affect your happiness. But as long as those poisons remain in your mind, you will not find the happiness you seek anywhere in this world, in the world. So what comes from the false sense of self then, being ignorant of our clear light spirit reality, then comes these thoughts and feelings of two-ness and labeling, good and bad, sorting and judging, as you well know. Y'all are so well aware of. But anyway, and so at any moment when you feel not quite right about something, just turn within, do your breath work, and become aware of what you've been holding on to or denying, repressing something, and then let that come up and let it go. Let it go means let it come and go. Now it may come and go again, and so you let it go, you let it come and go, but you may want to practice seeing through the person or the event to see their clear light essence. That's Jesus's advanced forgiveness and treachery. That's the main practice that I do. Okay. Now what I want, okay, so let's see. Oh, patience. Okay. So then there was a post about patience, and patience, what this is an entirely different definition of patience that I've ever thought of. And this quote, let's see where is patience is on page 2 of mine. And this is from Kangyur Rinpoche. Patience is essentially the ability to bear with suffering. Now, see, now there was a purpose for that argument, for that conflict to arise, because even though those weren't my reactions, I felt I could feel his upsetness. You see it too. But anyway, now before I finish that, I want to go to the second kind of patience is the ability to put up with the injuries that others might inflict. Now, see, those two things I never ever thought about patience. Just patience means, just kind of take a breath and just wait. Something will pass or whatever. But this patience is saying patience is essentially the ability to bear with suffering. And the second kind of patience is the ability to put up with the injuries that others might inflict. So as I sat in my chair, I realized I was suffering a little. I was suffering because I had emotions from being around this person that was screaming. I'm not kidding you. It was wild. It was a real tizzy. But I had to acknowledge I felt some suffering. And then when I read that Bear was suffering, so I just kind of relaxed and just bead with his suffering and just bear with this suffering. And when I be with it, guess what? It does, it liberates. When you be with it, instead of holding it off, fighting with it, I don't want to feel suffering. You just be with it. But the second part about the ability to put up with the injuries that others might inflict, I realized, hold it. It doesn't matter what anyone says or does. It's not my responsibility is to myself. It's not the cards that I'm dealt. but how I play the hand. So here's the cards. The guy's standing there screaming. and, and, um, that's his cards. But how am I going to deal? How am I going to handle my emotions and thoughts? And see, that's really inflicting inflicting harm. That's ego inflicting harm on another person, and the person doesn't even realize, hold it, this is harmful, not just to me, but I'm saying these things to this person, right? They're inflicting. Now, of course, in the absolute, there's none of this ever happened. But we don't live in the absolute. We live in this human form and want to keep it clean from our emotions and thoughts that clutter up our mind and body. Because when we're cluttered with those, we can't put our attention on resting within God's presence. I'm not doing real well at explaining this, but I realize that other things are going to come up because as I go out in the world and teach more about these truths, and sometimes on Facebook I'll see some comments that are totally out in left field that don't understand what I'm saying, but yet there are these statements made. But if I want to get involved in them, then I'm back in ego. I'm back in ego, ruminating on stuff, etc. So I have the ability now to put up with the injuries that others might inflict. Just stand there and let them rant and rave, right? Now, I'm not a doormat, and you all aren't either. That doesn't mean we stand there and get beat up, or if this goes on every day, that's an issue. I mean, then there's like, I don't think this is the right person I should be around, right? Something's not quite going on. We're not supposed to put ourselves in harm's way, etc. But I just thought that, wow. Now, I want to go back to my original teaching that I didn't even cover is what I'm actualizing, what I'm experiencing. It's called the accomplishment of 4 Dharmas of Gampopa, he's an enlightened being, and Longchenpa, he's an enlightened being. And this prayer, our Dzogchen group has said, I'm now over 6 years, heard this prayer. And it's right now I realize I've actualized this prayer. And this prayer is of benefit to all of you because it explains the process of awakening. This prayer is started in the 12th century, and Longchenpa, Gampopa was a foremost disciple of Milarepa. These are all enlightened beings. And then Longchenpa took it up in the 14th century. That's how old this prayer is. Here's the prayer. Bless and empower us that our minds and hearts turn toward the Dharma. Bless and empower us that our Dharma practice becomes the path. Bless and empower us that the path truly dispels confusion. Bless and empower us that confusion itself dawns as primordial awareness. Those 4 lines explain the process of awakening. You just think back years ago, whenever you turned to A Course in Miracles or found a Buddhist guru or a shaman or a priest, somebody that was helping you with spiritual practice, etc. Or in Dee's case, a Mormon, I don't know what they're called, but you turn for help. But bless and empower us that our minds and hearts turn towards the Dharma. That's when we stop from going out there and turn inward, that our minds and hearts turn towards these spiritual truths. And the second one says, bless and empower us that our Dharma practice becomes the path. That means we decide we're going to integrate these truths from Jesus and Buddha into our daily life. I'm going to integrate, treacherous, seeing through as many things as I can remember to see through, to think of them as the clear light they are of spirit. The Dharma practice becomes your path, becomes your way of living. while you do your work. You interject some of these truths. Blessed and empowers that the path, the spiritual practicing path, dispels confusion. You finally start to, you have get these glimpses of this open vastness, this clearness, this purity, this, and that dispels confusion, and you get insights along the way, and then those stabilize. You get more insights, deeper insights, they stabilize. You get deeper insights, they stabilize, dispelling your confusion of what you are, what your brother and sisters are, what the universe is, right? And the last one says, blessed and power said, confusion itself dawns as primordial awareness. And boy, that word primordial, that bothered me. I didn't understand that for the longest time, but primordial, what that means, the beginningless beginning, the origin of all things, primordial awareness. Because what has fallen asleep is our awareness. Our awareness is asleep and it thinks we're a body. And it thinks these other people out there are bodies as well. And that we live separate from God. And then sometimes, though, then you get 50-50 where you go, well, I don't really believe that. There's God. That's why 50-50, you're thinking physical thoughts versus spiritual thoughts. That's because the left brain hemisphere is opening up to access the right brain spiritual consciousness. But anyway, I recognize primordial awareness has awakened for me because I'm resting or being in that primordial, it's called groundless ground, the origin of all things. That's God's presence, Mother God's presence, resting being there. Patience, we cover that. Now here's a bizarre one, is as I'm wearing this sleep mask, right? This sleep mask, one time my head was moving back and forth as some light work was being done, and it loosened the strap on the mask. And so the mask kind of moved up a little bit, and I saw a sliver of white, real. The physical world looks, when I take this mask off, this physical world, the glare of this light is just glaring. The light of the real world is like moonlight, and that's like the glow of that pure blackness. That purity of blackness has a clear light glow, and that's, to me, moonlight's this glow that this creative God purity gives off. But anyway, I saw off the edge there was this white glaring light, but when I looked in my mind, I saw something unusual, but I had no idea really what I was looking at. But here was the white glare of this physical realm, but next to it was this black, rough moltenness. It was like some ridges, and it was a little bit rough. But I looked, and there was thin hair-like tentacles that came out, maybe an eighth of an inch long, all over this black, molten, rough, look kind of like ridges, but it's molten. And I know that's God's that's God's presence. One way it looks is that way. But anyway, at first I thought those tentacles were the tentacles of the six senses. Now, they're not, but it's a little different subject, and I'll go back to that. These six senses, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, the thinking mind, those senses, each of them has a consciousness with it. Now, I'm not the best at explaining this. So there's so the sight is consciousness, but there's tentacles. There's tentacles because those are tentacles looking for sight objects. There's tentacles looking for hearing and taste and smell and thinking, because they're like little sentries. They're receptors that are gathering data about all your environment. Because also you want to keep safe. So it's processing sights, sounds. If you need to fight or flight, you go, but buddy. Instead, you don't step out front of a car, yell at a kid if it's going to walk on front of a car. I mean, the senses have receptors or little tentacles. But when I sat with this for while I was writing this email up, and I realized, hold it, what I was seeing was the molten black, pure. This blackness is so tight with light, clear light is so tight, it looks black and has a shine to it. That's that clear light glow. But from that close up of seeing the physical world glaring light next to it, it had little hair like tentacles. That is primordial awareness. Primordial awareness has tentacles. And what it's doing is, remember I teach, and then Dzogchen teaches that you got this pure, clear light mind, and thoughts and feelings come and go on it. It will liberate if you leave them alone. Well, guess what? This clear light, essence, this purity, these tentacles are there, and these tentacles are sensing when any object comes up, whether it's a thought, a smell, an object, anytime something comes up, guess what? It senses it, and that's an intrusion on it. And so immediately it liberates them. It's that quick. If we leave all this stuff alone, I was actually seeing it at work. The little tentacles, their their awareness, primordial awareness, and they're there. If we lean back and accept, don't tackle these, fight with these thoughts and feelings, or ruminate on them, or label them, sort them. Awareness is curative. Remember, I teach that awareness is curative because it's doing its job. It's constantly keeping this human form empty of all thoughts and feelings and emotions. That's its job. And if we don't label and sort it, we're free. We're in freedom. We're in the kingdom of heaven, being with the clear light presence of God. It's that simple. I mean, I don't mean to giggle, but I never understood all this. The power of letting be, leaving it as it is, seeing it as it is, means seeing it as it is, seeing that clear light. But if y'all don't practice short moments repeated many times during the day of stopping to think of your brothers or your mates or your partners or husbands or wives or family members or politicians or whatever's showing up in front of your face, stopping to think, oh, they're clear light. This freedom of clear light, clear light, clear light, clear light building on itself will take longer to occur. So it's short moments repeated many times. But anyway, those tentacles of awareness is curative. Just pause. Once you become aware, oh, there's a thought, and don't touch it. Don't do anything with it. It will liberate. It's pretty cool. I never understood this. Okay, I explained about the go for it. Oh, but another odd thing that happened was entering the activity. So what do you do if you're not going to go bother all these sounds, objects, and stuff, and you're not bothering them, you're letting them be. So how do you live your life doing things? Well, after when I was laying there in bed with the mask on, oh, the mask, it's just so miraculous because with the mask on, there's no physical distractions. All that stuff's blacked out, right? You with me? So there you're being with you. You're sitting there living with you. What's going on in my mind, coming and going. And that's when you truly can learn, really practice this letting go, becoming aware of when something shows up, and that you pause and you went and talked with it. And then you go, oh, and then you just let it go. But you're building an awareness, you're cultivating your awareness, this capital A awareness, primordial awareness. But so when I decided I was going to go for it, and I leaned back and felt my outline just falling deeper, 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 because all around is this blackness. That's God's presence. You see it when you got the mask on. You think it's darkness or shadows, but that's even light. But this is God's presence. And you lean back and picture, oh, God's presence. He's behind me, and I'm sinking down in it. You feel his presence go through your back cells, and you're just getting immersed. You're just this is living immersed, feeling immersed with God's presence. And lean back. You're going deeper, deeper into this relaxation of just being with God's presence. And it came to me to do an activity. I'm just explaining what. And I decided I was going to vacuum. So in my mind, I saw my little vacuum, there's a little battery, operated vertical little cleaner on a pole that I take around and vacuum. And in my mind, I see myself vacuuming. But because now I understand and I know this is an outline of vibrating light particles as an outline, and the inside is just all God's presence. It's pure emptiness, it's purity, pure clear light. I see an outline of the vacuum cleaner. It's got a little pole, it's got this little bottom thing with the brush. I see the vacuum has an outline, and I look inside it, it's got clear light, God's presence. That's how everything is, your dresser, your TV, everything, your chairs, everything. It just has a vibrating, more tightly, lower frequency vibrating outline, but inside it is pure God presence. But anyway, I saw it. My awareness was within the vacuum cleaner. And then I started vacuuming, moving back and forth. And I realized this is God. God presence was experiencing vacuuming. That's our whole life. God presence is inside your form, experiencing whatever you're doing. But we've held him separate. You're God's presence. He's here now. He, she, it is here now. So it was like, whoa. But see, I learned this from that EP87 podcast of Lama Surya Das, and it's titled Imaho and Advanced Dzogchen. And when I saw the word advanced Dzogchen, my eyeballs lit up, and I said, I'm listening to that. And then I picked up on certain sentences that touched me that I wanted to practice. And one of the phrases that showed up was just a simple phrase he said to some student that was asking him a question: enter the activity. And it just stayed with me, and I did it. So then when I took the face mask off, the sleep mask off, and looked out, my dresser was an outline, empty. He had an outline, and it's floating in this clear light. And there's my bed. It's an outline. Everything's an outline. Because, see, we think we're solid little bodies. Now, you're not going to hurt yourself or cut yourself, but we think we're solid because there's 1,500 mind moments in a second, and the frames of these vibrating particles are going so fast we look like a solid, but we're not. So to study this quantum physics or just contemplate it, you're learning about the nature of mind and the nature of you, of your form, and you're more likely to be able to let go of this false sense of a self that's separate from your brothers, etc. Right? But anyway, that was far out. And I swear, I'm not on any mushrooms or LSD or nothing. This just is occurring because as we ascend back up the Great Ray, from where the Big Bang shot everything out. We're ascending back up the great ray back to the original kingdom of heaven, the original clear light essence, to remember our clear light essence. And then when we come back, with our mind comes back and we're walking around in the form, we remember that it's our clear light essence within this vibrating, this form. You carry back that knowledge, you carry back that gnosis and remembering, insight, or whatever you want to call it. Oh, here's another far out one, because we didn't start till about 5 after. Now, only reason I'm explaining all this is as you lean back and relax. See, we're not used to relaxing. It's tight, contracted edges of the body. The mind's contracted. It's holding all these beliefs in a separate self. It's contracted into this solid object. But as you wear that mask in meditation, I wear it now during my daily Zoom meditation with that group. I wear a mask with them in that hour. And when I'm chanting, oh my goodness, the sound of the chants, the vibration of the chants, I feel it inside my body, because it just is just without the mind being distracted with objects, even with eyes closed, there's still this glaring light of the physical realm. It's just bombarding the form and the mind. But anyway, I wear the mask, and after I wake up in the morning, I'll lay there in bed and wear it, and then at that meditation time. But the thing is, I was wearing the mask during a meditation. I think it was. I kind of forget if it was the meditation. Oh, Dee's saying good night. Good night, Dee. Love you. Is I forget if it was in the morning or during the Zoom, but it doesn't really matter. It's the point the mask was on. Is I was looking at the vast blackness, and the night sky mimics it. That's and there's and it's like awareness is like at a high advantage point, way above everything, way up there, and it's looking through like what you'd see the Hubble telescope show a photograph of this huge, vast universe. And I'd see long, wispy um, swirls like you see the Milky Way. They identify the Milky Way. But I'm going, that's the vast universe. That's the vast universe. And in a far distance, there's a brilliant white circle. It's not got a center, it's a circle, the center's black. Because see, a great ray tube, the center's black, and the outside edge is, so to speak, white. But anyway, what I was seeing was the border of seeing the tip end of the great ray, my great ray, at a far, far distance, white, brilliant border of a circle. And next to this, oh, I forgot this part. It wasn't in the email. I didn't put it in the email because I forgot it. It was like this circle border of a circle, white, brilliant circle. It had brackets, white, brilliant, like you see on your laptop, a bracket, low square bracket. It's like Holy Spirit was saying, look, Glenda, look, well, I bracketed something for you. And there's this, and off to, I'm not kidding, I'm not on drugs. Off to the side was a little square, about half-inch square. And I was trying to squint to see. It looked like a foreign language. But later I realized what it was. It's coordinates. They were the coordinates. Holy Spirit was showing me where this so-called human life was in this vast universe. And we're just a little speck, but it's brilliant white. It's brilliant white. So, but what he was teaching me, Holy Spirit's teaching me is, well, people that have near-death experiences, they say there's a tunnel and there's a corridor. Well, if they're looking at this end, it can look like a circle. And then they look up this tube, and at the end of the tube is the big light, the primordial ground of God. Anyway, I wanted to make sure I shared that with you. That was far out. Oh, I saw a cartoon where a person was sitting at their desk and there was two out boxes. You know how there's two trays, and one said inbox, in, and the other box said far out. And I thought, that's what I'm experiencing. Far out. But see, what I'm experiencing is that BOGDEN, which is uh, uh, go for it. Beyond, beyond, beyond the universe, beyond the thinking of this world. We're not the physical universe. We're not the physical form. We are this spirit that's vast, boundless, infinite, has this bird's eye, God eyeball that's above the battleground that can look at all of these things and not be distracted by them, not buy into the entanglement of the thoughts, feelings, and emotions of the six senses. They're simply there to let God's presence, our presence, enjoy the magic show. But I know we all get, me included, drawn in it sometimes. Wow. All I'm explaining about, you are the vast realm of purity that is bigger than the vast universe. I mean, let's see if there's any closing remarks on this deal. Um, we'll handle the Big Bang next week. Oh, and easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man. That's within this email. And how I understood that is as we let go of all these thoughts of separation, obscurations, what happens then? What's left? Spirit. Spirit can go through the eye of a needle. But if we haven't let go of our thoughts of that we're a body, or there's other bodies and all the luggage with us of all our false beliefs, you can't fit through the eye of the needle to the kingdom of heaven. You can't go there with all your baggage. You got to drop it, leave it off. Well, before we all go, some of you are getting ready to go, is look around the room and let's practice our short moment repeated many times of thinking of our brother and sisters as the clear light of spirit. This is an ample opportunity to be and think about our true nature. There's God Lynn, God Chaz, God Angela, God Debbie, God Leon, God Glenda, God D, and the whole universe, all the 8 billion beings. God, they're all gods and goddesses walking this earth and don't know it. They think they're those separate bodies. See, and we don't have to give up the body. We can still enjoy the body. We can still dress it however we want. Don't have to give up the clothes, the jewelry, the chairs, the cars. We don't have to give up any of that. No, no. You just give up your belief that that's your essence. You can have, you can dress this image however you want. Any thoughts, comments, or questions before we stop the party? Lynn just waved by. Thanks for coming out, Lynn. And her hubby had a treatment today. Blessings and love and light to him and you all, Lynn. There's Angela, Debbie, Leon. No thoughts, questions. There's Chaz waving. She's still here. I'm going to stop the recording and then we can chat and whatever we want to do. Let's see. Make sure I just hit record. Record. Stop.